In the trends of gold per minute, we see an increase from Navi side and a decrease from IG side, which is really interesting because IG
Yeah, IG aren't in this
aren't here,
game.
but
Yeah.
whatever.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's not
Kawa.
fair. Go Kawa.
36 hours and still going. You're like a Duracell bunny, Kawa.
I actually did that.
You did it?
I did it.
Yeah, but he pressed the button to bring it up.
We both pressed the button.
You pressed the button over there?
I did, yeah.
You have remote access?
Because you seem confused. You had that befuddled look on your face.
LD, stop producing.
Okay.
Control freak.
I need to help.
Well, this graphic, of course, speaks by itself. Like, look at the yellow bar.
Navi Gold. Navi
Very gold.
Alright, this is interesting. This is most picked heroes over the last 3 months.
And there's the Rubik on top of everyone. We also see the Nyx Assassin, normally played by Papi Chen. So the 3 most picked heroes are the support heroes. So these guys, reliable and reliant in a couple of heroes in the pool to make the team work. We see Havosis, Gyrocopter, and Phoenix Darkseer as well. On the other side, we see Yao's Darkseer, which is their most picked hero, and then we see the support heroes, like just with DD and and DDC, playing Shadow Demon, Nyx, Visage, and Leshrac. You know, the funny thing about these 2 supports is that there's no clear 4 and 5 position. They sometimes rotate and they just take the lead whenever they need, and whoever's having a better early game will probably go into the position that they need. So very versatile, maybe not too flashy and not too memorable, but they get the job done. So that's LGD China in a nutshell. They get the job done.
It's very interesting, you know, like the carries aren't in there in terms of, because they obviously you don't always get what you want. They switch them up, and none of Dendy's heroes are in there as well. And you mentioned that before. He has a huge array of heroes he can play very well. And of course, with mid, they do want to ban out specific things a lot of the times for the tactics. Average game then? Average game time in minutes?
In June, it's giving you the middle finger, apparently.
But what?
In June, it's giving you the middle finger, because we see the blue bar.
I never got on with June.
Yeah.
I'm a June baby.
hot. Oh, really?
I guess we don't get along then. I was born in June.
What day?
June 3rd.
June 3rd. It's a good day.
You missed my birthday.
I missed. No, I'm so. You didn't invite me.
I didn't fly you over.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What? When did I turn up? It's July, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's July.
Jesus.
You're
Like
not
some sort
hallucinating.
of-
This is not a dream, James.
Could be.
Is it really?
It could be. But yeah, but really we should just focus on the differences between Navi and LGD in accordance to what we think is going to happen. Where do you think the strengths lie with either team, LD, Lumi, or Bruno?
Lumi, you can start this one.
Go on, Lumi.
Or are
Give
you
us
practicing your rap?
What am I trying to say here? Yeah, I'm practicing my rap.
the strengths and weaknesses of both teams going into the grand finals of the Alienware Cup?
Oh, with the tournament we're here to cast.
Oh, okay. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, Navi plays pretty good, so they're going to be good. LGD. I don't know
Dude,
what.
look, you wait. I know you've got a rap later, but
I
you
know.
don't have to do the whole character of a rap. You know what I mean? Like the too cool.
The smug.
Yeah, just be like. Glasses over glasses.
You're wearing those so poorly.
These are too big for me. LGD China, I think what they're really strong at is their 3 core carries. Yao, Xiao A, and Sylar.
Sylar.
To me, is generally not all of them actually get farm, but as long as you get 2 out of the 3, then they're pretty much set. And generally, all of the 3 players are very consistent. You don't have one player that just dies for no reason. You don't have one player that, well, you have Xiao A dropping the bomb on the ground sometimes, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, Xiao A doesn't need to show up all the time because he has good teammates to show up other times. So these 3 cores are very good. I don't think support DDC and DD are as consistent as the rest of the team, but because the other 3 players are so good that it kind of just balances everybody out.
They're also not really playmaking supports, DDC and DD,
Yeah.
unless you get a Visage for one of them.
Right.
Visage, a hero that can make a lot of plays. I think that's one of their strongest supports if they get to run it, but we know Navi loves the jungle game, and Chen, Enchantress. If you're not actually running a tri-lane, very hard for the Visage to do much against that. Not a good roaming support. I think for me, the key in the series is just going to be those first few ganks, probably from Xiao 8, maybe from Yao. Can they set up an early kill? Does Navi see it coming, place a lane war behind the tower? Do they get out of trouble? Those first few movements from Xiao 8 usually determine the course of the game for LGD. They call him Director 8. It used to be kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but nowadays it's come to mean that when LGD's at their best, it's because Xiao 8 is directing the flow of the game. He's controlling the way the enemy team moves. He's setting up the kills. Will Navi be prepared for those movements, or will he be caught off guard?
I think they will. I mean, LG China is notorious to lose the early game. They always, like, in the past 20 games, I think they won the early game 3 times, and they went to steamroll those games.
Maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, not very many.
But against Navi, who is so good in the early game, they're good at getting levels in Kuroki when he's playing Wisp or any other support. Puppey is just so annoying by sending whatever creeps that he's grabbing with Chan or Enchantress.
Right.
I do imagine, and of course Dandy as well as Funnick really good on their solo respective lanes. I think they're good enough to take the early stages of the game and then snowball. LGD, good at recovering. Not too sure whether you could recover against Navi.
Okay, so it sounds like you're giving Navi a bit of an edge in
I
the
do
series.
believe Navi matches up against better than LGD, but if you say, here's 2 teams, who's going to go deeper in the tournament, I would have went with LGD because I think they're a little bit more consistent.
That's interesting.
Against each other, I think Navi's better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, here we are.
yeah.
Yeah, here we are. One best of 5 to decide, and in game actually, I think Kawa's given the go-ahead to Tusky, the admin, to say we're ready. LGD are now ready. They just reconnected to the lobby. I think they were just checking some pings, and also Navi have been ready for a little while.
Right.
So we're getting ready to go into this. Yeah, some really good points brought up there, but again, it's who's going to play best on the day. Personal performances will matter across the whole best of 5. I've heard some talk about Funnick. Like, I think Funnick's a fantastic player, but you can sometimes tell that he doesn't play as good as he wants to. Sometimes he can overperform.
Right.
You know, Bruno compared him to maybe a young Light of Heaven, but Light of Heaven's done it in the clutch, in the biggest spotlight. Funnick, not that he hasn't won some LAN events, but this guy is not an international champion.
Well, that's how you build yourself. You
Right.
can't be born an international champion.
But not everybody can make that next step.
Well,
So
we'll
have
see
to
if
see
he
if
can.
he can get on the road to do
He
it.
certainly has the team that
That's
is
right.
able to support him to do it. So, looking forward to that as well. Anyways, guys, predictions for this series.
Whew, that's tough.
I wish Ben was here. He would tell us the odds. I think it was like 41% for LGD China, 59% for Navi. So
Now there is, of course, with the odds, there's always the which team has more fans.
right, which Navi definitely does.
Obviously, Navi has more fans. I think it's very close.
I'm gonna go with 3-1 Navi, simply because I think Navi matches up better in the early game snowball. For what I've said before, LGD China could take a game. Not sure whether they could take 2, and definitely not 3 in my opinion.
The last time these two teams faced, it was 2-1 LGD China. A very long and somewhat controversial pause at the end of the game, but I mean, LGD China to me had already won the game by that point, and I think that's what most people thought who looked at the replay a bit more
That game
closely.
looked really close.
It was a close game.
Yeah.
I think LGD China, I give them a very slight edge here, 3-2. But if Navi get off to a fast start, I think if Navi win, it'll be something like a 3-0 or 3-1. If LGD China win, it's going to be a very hard fought 3-2.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I'm going to give the slight edge to Navi. I just think that Puppey seems to be able to download teams, right? I'm using a Street Fighter term there because I've been out with Vic the Slick and he's like a Street Fighter guy. But yeah, like when they lose to a team, they often can bounce back and beat them the second time round just because the Puppey seems to understand it, explain it, the whole team's on the same page and they know what to watch out for. That, you know, they did bad in groups, they've done that before, and then they do great in the playoffs.
Right.
I think that Navi can take this. Still wouldn't be surprised though if any team won, obviously, but I will give a slight edge to Navi.
So 3-2 Navi.
I'll go with 3-2.
Okay.
Sure, well, you went for 3-1. I'm
3-1,
3-2.
I'm 3-2 LGD.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I have to go with you actually with that, James. So I'm going to go 3-2 with
happened.
Navi. I hope Navi disappointed me last time when they went against LGD China, Phantom Lancer with Midas, and they tried to get it very passively into the late game, something that really, really favors LGD China's momentum. We talked about how weak they are at laning phase, and how strong they are elsewhere in the game. Navi probably, they read that game, they said this doesn't work and will pump up the aggression. If they do that, they will take the games. If they want to explore something different, maybe LGD China will be prepared. So that's me, 3-2
Alright.
Navi.
All right, then. So, yeah, it looks like we're just entering in the bans and picks. So we're going to send it over to LD and Lumi for game number 1 of the grand finals of the Alienware Cup. 25,000 on the line for first place, 12,000 for second. We all hope you enjoy the show, and best of luck to both teams. LD and Lumi, take it away.
Welcome to the draft, ladies and gentlemen. It's game 1 of a best of 5, your Alienware Cup Grand Finals. First place, 25,000 and a whole lot of swag. Second place, 12,000, not too shabby. A bit more because some teams were penalized prize money, but that's neither here nor there. Game 1, the draft underway. LGD China, we saw how much they love the Visage. I mentioned how important it is to them. They'll get it here, and I heard Bruno groaning a bit because we will see a Dragon Knight for Na'Vi, but it could be a Havosh Dragon Knight. If it's a Dendi solo mid Dragon Knight, I would tend to give the edge to LGD.
Well, they won their game yesterday with Dendi on the Dragon Knight mid. He went so well in terms of farming. He beat the puck in the 1v1 matchup, which you should never expect a Dragon Knight to do. He got a ton of mid-game item, including a Shadow Blade BKB, and just walk up to the towers late game and just sieged it. So I wouldn't count Dendi out particularly. I think Xiao 8 is one of the best solo mids in China and definitely will give Dendi a run for his money. It depends on the hero matchup, though.
I really feel if Xiao 8 has a big hero advantage, I think Xiao 8 can beat Dendi mid. If they have similar heroes, I think Dendi's the better laner.
Yes.
But Xiao 8, for him, really what makes him a good mid is his movement. So
and
can he find an early gank?
I think Xiao 8 excels in more of his mid-game fight and not particularly his laning. So I will give Dendi the edge here. But Dragon Knight's not a strong mid, so we'll see how it goes.
There's only so much you can outlane somebody on Dragon Knight. You can last hit well, you can breathe fire at the right times, get a couple creeps. You're probably not killing your opponent. That's not the goal of a Dragon Knight mid. And like we mentioned, it could still be a Havosh safe lane Dragon Knight. They have run that before. It's a possibility. The one thing I really like for Na'Vi is that they've taken the Darkseer. So they do get that. I thought they would go for an early Chen. I mentioned how junglers are really the best way to deal with Visage. First of all, you're not running a tri-lane, so Visage can't necessarily get that 3v3 explosive snowball start. Secondly, he can't do anything against Chen creeps. You can put a lot of pressure on the lane early, delays level 6, and that's why we see LGD China ban the Chen, ban the Enchantress, also just puppy signatures in general, so they'll remove that from the equation. But I was a little surprised Na'Vi didn't opt for the Chen or the Enchantress with that first 2 picks.
I mean, if you want to avoid the Visage, you just send the Darkseer in the jungle, which is, where he could get quick farm. And I really actually like Darkseer starting in the jungle for Na'Vi here, simply because it's very easy to pop that jungle, give Dragon Knight Iron Shell, surge him, and suddenly Dragon Knight transform into actually a very powerful killing hero, depending on who he's actually facing against. If it's not Pug, if it's not Queen of Pain, you're probably getting a kill with that kind of combo.
It's like an Aghanim's Beastmaster, and just in terms of the closing distance and the range at which he can initiate.
Reminds me of how Dignitas runs Darkseer and Templar Assassin on the mid lane. Very similar in terms of damage output, in terms of how quickly you get kills, and we'll see what Na'Vi actually pulls that trigger on that. Of course, LGD Gaming gonna open with Visage, open with Gyrocopter, and if they pick up a Naga Siren here, for example, they could even go offensive tri-lane. We've definitely seen a lot of Chinese and Southern East Asian team run that in the Alienware Cup. Not sure whether you want to do that against Na'Vi, who is really good at controlling early game aggression, but LGD Gaming have some cards up their sleeves as well. We'll see how it goes.
They will ban out the Magnus and the Windrunner. I think the big thing with these 2 bans is these are heroes that can stop pushes. So a lot of AoE from these 2. Very hard to go high ground against Shackle Shot, against RP. That's the biggest threat these 2 bring to the table. Windrunner, obviously a strong laner. Mag, obviously something LGD China have been running. But to me, looks like Na'Vi might want to go for some sort of early to mid-game push right now. Darkseer can build your mech. Dragon Knight can be the frontline hero. We'll see what kind of heroes they go for from here. They won't have access to the Chen. We've seen Puppy turn to the Enigma quite a bit. In certain situations, especially when they want a 5-man in the mid-game. We'll have to see if they go for it now. For the time being, the draft slows down a bit. Both teams kind of eyeing what's left in the pool, thinking through their next few steps. Bit of a chess match here for both of the captains, Director 8 as well as Captain Puppy.
Yeah, I think the ban out on both Windrunner and on the Magnus actually targets Yao quite well. I think he plays both of them's hero. Of course, Xiao 8 also plays the Magnus. At the same right, I think Nature's Prophet should be a hero that LG is looking for. It doesn't give them too much early game, but Wrath of Nature is so good at split pushing late. And I think split pushing is one of the best way to beat Na'Vi. Na'Vi, once they get far enough ahead, they'd like to just go down one lane and try to end it by taking racks. If you hold that push and split push, you get yourself back in the game. Remember yesterday, it was a Phantom Lancer, and they held for 10-15 minutes, but the Phantom Lancer held by standing in the base. So they didn't die, but they never got out of that hole, if that makes sense. You need a split push against Na'Vi to get yourself out of the hole. And that's why I believe Nature's Prophet or any other split pushing carry is the way to go against Na'Vi. And we'll see what LGD picks.
There's a Puck in the pool, there's a Queen of Pain in the pool, there's a Templar Assassin in the pool. Particularly those last 2 can dominate a Dragon Knight mid. Xiao 8 has a pretty good TA. I think his Queen of Pain's a bit stronger. He's not really known for those heroes, but he can play a very suitable one when the case presents itself. If they expect a Dragon Knight mid, I feel that's what they should go for here. Slow down Dendi early. Don't let him get that fast BKB Shadow Blade. They'll go for a Nyx Assassin. So they have not really a one big team fight here, but just a lot of lockdown, a lot of burst damage in the team fights. A little bit lacking in terms of counter push. Na'Vi now selecting the Rubik for Kuroki. We'll see if Na'Vi really wants to push early. These last 2 picks are going to tell us a lot.
Yeah, don't be surprised if Nyx Assassin actually goes mid here for LGD China. Not many other Chinese team run him on the mid lane anymore, but particularly in this case, Mono Burn is going to take away Dragon Knight's kind of spamming ability in the lane. it's a melee hero, so it's a fairly okay matchup for Nyx Assassin. You want to level up Mana Burn in this particular game because both Darkseer and Dragonite very dependent with their mana pool during team fights. So if you get off multiple mana pools in a single team fight, especially against Dragonite and Darkseer, you do quite well. So we'll see if Director 8 takes this mid. He generally does it, but we'll have to wait and see. Jakiro's going to get a selection here by Na'Vi. I think Puppy's going to play this particular hero. And his general philosophy on playing Jakiro is that he likes to roam around between the mid as well as his safe lane and just provide a ton of support, make sure that both of those lanes that he's in is winning. As a result, he stays like level 1 and level 2 throughout like the first 5-6 minutes of the game. But what he gets out of it is his solo mid as well as his bot lane. Both get farm, both get the advantage.
Na'Vi have the Vacuum Ice Path combo, and they are one of the teams that's better, one of the best teams I would say at executing that combo. If you nail that Vacuum right as an Ice Path comes and you drop a Macro Pyre over the top, you can instantly the enemy team just scatters to the winds. They get basically busted out and they can't fight anymore. So it's a potent combo for Na'Vi. A lot of AoE here. They don't really have the most mobile lineup, and it's a lineup that wants to group up in the mid game to some extent, and I feel they'll need to because they're up against a Nyx Assassin, they're up against Familiars. LGD have quite long reach already. You mentioned a Nature's Prophet as a possibility for them. The only issue I see with that is if they get a Nature's Prophet right now, it could be a mid Nyx, but it looks like it might be a solo Prophet. And Prophet versus Darkseer, that's a matchup that Funnick would just basically, he'd get those big eyes, right? Like, oh man, give me that. I will show you what happens when you put me 1v1 against a Prophet.
I mean, Prophet is kind of weak in most 1v1 matchup, but I think he's somewhat deceptively weak. Trine is actually pretty good here, as Kunkka is going to get selected.
Kunkka, maybe.
So never mind, scratch the idea about Nyx Assassin on the solo mid. It's going to be Kunkka on the solo mid position. And look at the amount of lockdown this team provides and the amount of burst damage. You have bolt, you have call down, rockets, impale, mana burn, of course Kunkka typing, of course Visage, soul assumption, everything on top. You do have some fairly tanky heroes on the side of Na'Vi, but that's enough burst damage to actually just stun Darkseer once and get him bursted down before even casting any of his spells. And that's one of the best way to actually beat Darkseer teams. And it looks like Na'Vi is going to ban out Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, X Torrent is going to be a potent way. You can try and surge someone to safety. They get pulled right back in. It could be a solo mid Nyx and a tri-lane Kunkka, depending on this last pick. It could be a solo mid Kunkka. LGD have a lot of options with how they want to lane this. They could even abandon the off lane if they want, but when you have a Visage, a Kunkka, and even a Nyx, these are all strong, even a Gyro. All four of these heroes are strong in the aggressive tri-lane. We'll have to see if LGD want to force the issue there.
Right. I think I remember one team actually picked Enigma on the off lane. I think it was King J playing for Tong Fu. I don't think LG Gaming will resort to that as they ban out Naga Siren themselves, so maybe they're looking to take some kind of aggressive team fights.
Well, obviously that sleep, set up your vacuum, and the sleep, vacuum immediately, then Ice Path, very potent combo.
Right.
Could catch LGD off guard. Also, just an annoying hero to play against in the laning stage. If you want to go aggressive Charlie, Naga's Riptide makes tower diving very dangerous. The minus armor really adds up. They'll go for a Luna, kind of a taste of LGD in here in some ways. The early mech buyer in the Darkseer, the early 5-man carry in the Luna, the strong frontline tank pushing mid in the Dragonite. And now for Na'Vi, the lanes seem pretty clear. Solo Darkseer probably in the offlane, Dragonite mid for Dendi, of course the Darkseer for Funnick, and then a tri-lane, Havost Luna, Puppy Jakiro, and Kuroki Rubik. So their lanes seem very set. My big question is, do LGD try to want to get aggressive here? They could run a safe lane Gyro against Darkseer. Actually does reasonably well in the matchup. Very dangerous to dive Gyro without creep support. Aggressive tri-lane, Nyx, Visage +1, Kunkka mid, or Nyx mid, and then a Kunkka Visage +1. LGD definitely have their options if they want to go aggressive.
I'm not sure whether they need to go aggressive in lane. I think they have the opportunity to do so. If you look at these lanes, they're generally very passive. Dragonite stays back and farm. Luna does have some offensive capability through a single target nuke, but for the most part, she wants to stay back and farm as well. Same thing with Darkseer. If you look at the mid game for Na'Vi, once they get their BKB, what is LG Gaming going to do? Sure, they have some call down that's going to slow. Yeah, you slow them.
Pop the boat and run.
And run, right. That's your only option. So once BKB gets active on Dragonite and Luna, that's when Na'Vi is the strongest, and they're going to push. So I think that Clockwork and the rest of LG China needs to make something happen before the BKB comes online, get themselves a little bit ahead, and that's difficult for LGD because they generally don't win the early game.
Interesting. Yao Clockwork here. Looks like they might just send him solo off lane, but we'll introduce our teams now. Welcome inside the game. It's game 1 of a best of 5. LGD China on the dire side, your winner bracket champions. For the Alienware Cup, they now need to win 3 in a row to take down Na'Vi, who battled back through the lower bracket through IG. They went through them all to get here. On the dire side, it'll be Yao, the Clockwork, heading to the off lane. Looks like he's on his lonesome for the time being. DDC, your Visage, Observer Wards picked up, heading towards mid. Director 8, Xiao 8, rushing the bottle, pulled tangos on the Kunkka. DD, safe lane support Nyx with sentries picked up. And last but not least, Sylar, one of the best carries in the world, playing that gyrocopter.
Meanwhile, on Navi side, Funnick's going to be playing your off-lane Darkseer. May start in the jungle, may not. We'll have to wait and see. Dragonite's going to be handled by Dendi. Goes to mid lane. Kuroki, of course, playing his probably the best European Rubik possible. We're going to have Puppey handling the Jakiro. Look towards his early game roam. And last but not least, we have Havos 4. Maybe the 4-row Luna? I don't think so, but he's playing the Luna in the safe lane, at least this game.
I think someone told him about the hexagons, Lumi.
Oh, I see. I get it now.
I'm not sure, but we'll have to see how the lanes develop. Havost, as Bruno mentioned, he is one of the premier balls-to-the-wall carry players in the scenes. Not many of those in China. Navi, they've traveled all the way from Ukraine, from Eastern Europe to be here. They went to China to come and to conquer. So far, they've conquered all the opposition. LGD China has been the one roadblock thus far. Let's get into the game now. The rune about to spawn. LGD camping the top rune. They'll get lucky a bit here. Illusion rune picked up off the bat. And they will be running an aggressive tri-lane. So both teams looks like we'll see some early trades.
Yep. And well, here we go. Puppey's going to be not setting in lane. Are they actually thinking about going all the way top and run a tri-lane top? I don't think that's going to be successful.
Did I say aggressive? I meant defensive.
Are they looking for a first blood mid? Maybe they're surging somebody in for a kill?
Oh.
Not too sure what everybody's
They
saying
must
out
be.
here.
A surge into a lift into an ice path. That's got to be the plan. Xiao 8 sitting very far back. Now it's a little suspicious. Is he going to react in time? Well, they want to come in, but it looks like this is going to be a hard one. Funnick's still waiting.
Yeah, this gank just doesn't work because when you send on your own hill, you see across the hill, and they just...
Are they expecting a level 1 gank on Dendi, maybe?
Maybe, but everybody else showed themselves in the lane. DDC's peeked out on the top.
If you want to go for the first blood, you don't take Ion Shell. So very, very, very odd, I would say, but they'll park 3 heroes mid, and Kuroki going to be stacking some neutrals, so not really wasting too much time. Navi still being fairly efficient despite camping 4 mid, but LGD China happy just to sit back and farm. So we can look at our lanes a bit more closely. Safe lane Gyro uncontested, safe lane Luna uncontested, and they'll go back in mid. They've smoked up 3. Dendi tanking the creeps, baiting maybe a bit too much. So low that Xiao 8, even Xiao 8's got to be like, that's a little too much blood on the deck already.
That's actually some next level bait. They show themselves in a semi.
Oh, they wrapped around. Kuroki goes for the lift. It's not going to connect. Navi really pressing for this level 1 gank.
Yeah, it's like kind of weird. Like they show themselves and they say, "Oh, you saw me," and then they go back and smoke up and try again. It didn't work, and that's a ton of time being wasted. At the same time, they did stack the high level camp on the left as well as in the main jungle, so Darkseer's going to find himself a ton of gold.
You know what it is?
Yeah. What?
It's mind games.
It didn't work
Make
out.
Xiao 8 confident. Make them think you're idiots. Make them think you have no idea how to gank. Next time when you come, you'll execute it perfectly.
Yeah, but look at the trade-off here as we see LGD China pressuring up top and Clockwork getting a ton of experience.
You just don't understand Puppey's mad genius.
Well, I don't know. I don't think LGD China...
It was a little bit of a strange gank, but not a big deal. LGD, like you said, putting some early pressure on this tower. Sylar tanking way too many tower shots there, not removing the aggro well. In comes the Ice Path, already a glyph forced out from the Radiant side. They're the lineup that wants to mid-game 5-man, but for the time being, it's LGD putting the pressure on. Puppey, a good defensive counter-pushing support, and he'll get quite a few levels now.
Yeah, very, very good Ice Path. What it actually did was not to stun it for 0.5 second, but draw the creeps off the tower, and then he could farm it very safely. He's already a level 2, so he's matching up the farm on a support that's been pulling on the other side of the map. Doing very well is Puppey. Back in the mid lane here, we do see Invis Dendi, or not Invis Dendi. Dendi coming in, not stunning just yet. Could have done a lot more damage if he did, but he's going to just save his mana for now.
Wouldn't have gotten the kill. Xiao 8 sitting on the full bottle, but could have harassed a bit more. So as far as our safe lane carries farm goes, Havost winning that battle so far, 16-3 to the 12-3 of Sylar, and obviously the main reason is they tried to push the tower early. In doing so, they actually gave away a lot of experience to Puppey, who hits level 3 as an off-lane solo Jakiro. The only reason this happens is because LGD China saw a few mid, said get off Xiao 8, we'll push top, but this is the downside. Navi getting a lot more experience out of that off lane than they really should be.
Yeah, and of course now we see Kuroki going back to do a double stack pull camp. You generally don't get this pull off against a Clockwork because he could easily rocket flare and then just take your creeps. Yao looking to do that here. Unfortunately, he's not taking too much, at least not a Mud Golem.
And in comes Yao, trying to contest that pull a bit. Level 4 for the time being. He's got access to Cogs. Havost maybe thinking about a Lucent Beam. These two by themselves probably cannot kill him. They'll need a +1 if they really want to do it. The courier parked mid for the time being. Denny probably looking to do some bottle crowing soon. And back into the jungle, Navi will go. Very passive play for them thus far. But you know Na'Vi, it's only a question of when they get aggressive, not if.
I mean, these heroes are fairly passive, right? Dragon Knight doesn't do much, Luna doesn't do much early on, but you can, like you said, get a little bit aggressive, especially Darkseer comes out with the Iron Shell and Surge. You do see Jakiro rotating to the top lane, checking for a rune. It is going to be on bottom instead. Ice Path's going to fly, not going to do much.
Two birds scouting each other out, neither looking what he sees. The rune will spawn bottom. It's an illusion rune. And Yao with boots might get here first, but he's going to run right into the entire enemy team in doing so.
Luna is going to try to cut him off. There's one beam, but Yao could actually fight his way back with some battery assault.
Yeah, I think he actually could have gone for a kill there, but wasn't sure about the backup. Even with level 1 battery assault,
it does do a ton of damage, especially to Luna, who is kind of frail in the frame.
But understandable, you don't necessarily know where all their supports are. They did see Kuroki at the rune, but it would be a bit risky. Yao will play it safe. He'll opt for getting more experience. So overall, Lumi, we look at the trades here. Dragon Knight for Dendi winning mid by a little bit. He's about 5 CS ahead. A decent lead for him. Safe lane farm going better for Havos. Na'Vi getting more out of their jungle. I would say slightly less out of the off lane now, but only slightly. Who do you favor overall as far as the trades go?
I think the fact that LGD is falling behind right now favors Na'Vi. I talked about the importance of BKB. They're getting these farm unmolested. I know we're very far from BKB, but every little bit gold and experience count. Puppy getting a ton of level is not what he's used to getting. So I think Na'Vi, because of the level and go advantage, are slightly ahead. But we don't even have first blood yet, so maybe that's too early to even predict.
Of course, for LGD, we didn't get to talk too much about the end of their draft, but in going for the Clockwork and the Kunkka as their final 2 selections, they gave themselves a lot more AoE, a lot more teamfight, and a lot more counter push. Tidebrainer, the boat, the torrent. Na'Vi, obviously this lineup that wants to group in the mid game with BKBs, but the supports won't have BKBs. That AoE is still going to kill the creep wave. They're not the easiest lineup to push into. To get those pushes, they'll really want to find a Surge into a Dragon Tail, set up some kills, and then go for the push. And we'll just have to see how good LGD's defensive positioning is as to whether that will happen or not.
Yeah, if you look at Xiao's skill build, already taking an early point into X marks the spot, wants to get aggressive, might not be surprising if you even take it at level 7 to get that, going to guarantee X Torrent combo. Torrent's going to fly out here and really can't kill Dendi here in this case unless you, well, here we go. It's going to go the other way. Dragon Tail from range form. Ice Path to follow through, and they're going to try to burst him down. Xiao is going to use the bow and try to get some damage. Blocked out. Magic Six up as well, and he's not going to survive as the flames of the 2 dragons pop him up. DD's going to get selected as well. DD's on the run.
DD with a DD. How cute. How clever, but he's gotten caught. Not cute and clever enough. Now the Dragon Tail will come through. He's going to go down. 2 kills. Na'Vi, they draw the first blood of the Alienware Cup Grand Finals. They now lead 2-0, 6.5 minutes in, and that is exactly the kind of start that Na'Vi wanted.
Yeah, and exactly the start that they're used to having, especially not with this kind of aggressive team. It looks like maybe they're going to try to get a return kill on the mid lane. They do have X as well as Torrent. Both is on cooldown, so maybe not. Meanwhile, top tower is going to go down. Gyrocopter the last in. Looks like they're going to go on Puppy. Funnick, though, comes right in time. Yeah,
they'll defend the tier 2. Na'Vi, they'll stand strong here. Funnick up to 850 gold. Treads come out on Dendi. So Na'Vi's starting to get some basic items off of that successful team fight. Xiao wanting to be aggressive. I have to say, Dendi's done really well in this matchup. We've generally seen Kunkka actually beats Dragon Knight mid because Tidebrainer ignores the Dragon Knight's high base armor, doesn't have a mana cost, and you can punish him if he goes to those runes and look to pick him off with a Torrent +1 allied support. But Puppy setting Dendi up for success, helping him to get the runes early. His supports Kuroki helping him bottom as well. And then just great movement from Puppy. They set up a first blood for Dendi, and now that he's level 6, it's a tough lane for Xiao. Anytime the dragon form's online, if Xiao's in the river, he easily dies to Dendi +1.
Yeah, I mean, Dendi, the fact that he's, or excuse me, Xiao, the fact that he's actually got a point of X really lowered the fact that he could harass a lot more with Tidebringer. So that might be a reason why he's losing a mid lane a little bit. We're going to see an engagement on the mid lane. X Torrent, that's going to fly out here, and Dendi's going to get stunned. Another stun fly through. Here comes a bolt as well. Dendi out of mana. He runs away from the bolt and then back here, but here comes Xiao. They are going to get Dendi, but at what cost?
Are they? Are they?
Yeah,
yes, they are.
And no cost as, well, maybe.
Well, that was a bit, that was 4 heroes mid.
Yeah.
Na'Vi bring 3, but Funnick heads right back to the jungle. They kill Dendi. It's a very important kill because we saw what happened yesterday. He went 5-0 and 8 on Dragon Knight. If you don't slow down the Dragon Knight and he gets an early BKB and early Shadow Blade, there is just no stopping that hero. Yao is going to hook forward. He will get an Invis rune. But that means hook on the sideline. So if Na'Vi want to be aggressive, they know the hook's cooling down for a minute. The boat, well, it's not really, there's basically no cooldown with this spell nowadays. But we'll see if they look to get aggressive. Havost, when it comes to farm, actually slightly behind the gyro. Simply, he's ahead in CS, but he's behind me because the tier 1 top did go to LGD. Still no grouping up from Na'Vi. The big thing for them is the mech. That's what they really need before they try to take some aggressive fights. Funnick sitting on 500 gold, 450, as well as a buckler. We could see a mech by around that 11, 12-minute mark at the latest.
Yeah, Funding is actually farming very quickly, and that goes back to the 2 support pulling on the side of Na'Vi at the very beginning of the game when they were camping mid and not doing too much. He's definitely benefited from that. He's going to get a ton of experience. Really want to hit like level 12 when you have most of your spell being maxed out. Really want that mech, and of course, that should all come in conjunction with those BKB, and Na'Vi will go for a kind of a mid-game superiority push. Very far away from that right now, and they're just very happy with the fact that their towers are mostly still alive. They're not losing too many kills, and that's all you could really ask for from a somewhat passive early game team from Na'Vi.
I want to talk about the importance of BKBs this game, because you've harped a lot on the